These are the notes for Unit 7, Day 3, and this involves doing an activity. So if we were face-to-face, we would break up into groups and have each person do a part. If you are viewing this to get the notes virtually, then I'm going to have some special instructions for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at several functions, and we're going to draw some general conclusions. So if we look at question 1 here, it says write your equations. So if you scroll down 2 pages in your notes, you're going to see 8 equations, and let's just pick one and do one together here, and then you're going to have to do the remaining ones. So I am going to pick, let's do function B. So let's see here, what color should I choose? We'll go purple. No, not purple, it's too close to pink. It's a hard choice. I'll go yellow. There we go. We're gonna do this function. So we're gonna graph that. And if you notice, let me scroll back into the notes here. If you notice, I have the same header right here at the top of the notes. And so if you also notice, I have right here letters, and these letters correspond to these letters here in question 1. Okay, so as we navigate through these questions, they correspond to those columns in the organizational chart. So the first thing is we're going to write our equation. So our equation is equation B. So that is x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. So let's change that with x cubed minus 4x squared plus x plus 6. Okay, and we're going to graph it. So the first thing we're going to do is graph this. So we're going to pull our graphing calculator out here. Where is our graphing calculator? I guess I don't have it up. There it is. And we're going to graph this. So y equals, we're going to go x cubed, so x caret 3, arrow to the right, minus 4x squared key plus x plus 6. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to look at my window here, my parameters, and if you notice, my parameters are all these kind of weird numbers. I'm going to make that a little more uniform. I'm going to go from minus 10 to plus 10 with a scale of 1 on the x-axis, and same for the y, minus 10 to plus 10, scale of 1. That's always a good standard window. Okay, so when I graph this, we're going to make some observations here. So here's the graph. And it says a couple of questions we can answer even without the graph. What is the degree of the polynomial? So we're looking for that highest power. And that highest power is 3. So the degree equals 3. So I'm going to put that in this first column. So I'm going to scroll down. Degree equals 3. How many x-intercepts are there? So I'm going to count. I have an x-intercept here. That's 1 and 2 and 3. So I've got 3 x-intercepts. So I've got 3 x-intercepts. How many times does a graph turn? So a turn is like a hill or a valley. So I see one hill up here and one valley here, so I have 2 turns. And notice that's D, so that goes in the organizational chart. That goes, I think I need to move my calculator over, hold on here. There we go. That is not in the organizational chart. That's what I thought. Okay. And then E is, what is the leading coefficient? So remember, whenever we're asked the degree in the leading coefficient, we go to the highest power. Let me highlight this. We go to the term with the highest power, which is right here, and we grab the power. That's the degree. And then we grab the leading coefficient, and the leading coefficient is that number in front of that term, and in this case it's 1. So our leading coefficient, I call that LC, equals 1, and that goes in column E here. So I'm going to scroll down and put that in column E. That's the orange column. So that's 1. And coming back up here, answer the next question. As your graph goes farther and farther to the left, what does the direction go? So to the left would be, you know, if I started here at the y-intercept at x equals 0, as I move to the left, this graph is going down. So the left side goes down, and the right side, let's start back here at the intercept. The right side, then after I get past this last turn, the right side goes up. So the left side's down, the right side is up. So I'm going to fill in those columns. Direction of the right side is up. Direction of the left side is down. Okay, I come back up to my question. It says on the do the ends of the graph do the same or do something different? And these do something different, right? One goes down, one goes up. So those are different things. If they both went down or both went up, those would be the same. So they do something different. What is that? That is G. So we're going to fill that in here. They do, it says, are the endpoints, so I'm looking at this column here, are the endpoints, ends pointing in the same or opposite direction? And this is the same direction. Okay, so a few things that we didn't fill in that are kind of information we have to get from the other parts. This is kind of contained in question B. Is the degree odd or even? 3 is an odd number, so this is going to be odd. And is the leading coefficient positive or negative? So the leading coefficient is 1, and that is positive. Let me make that orange. Notice some color coding here. That's positive. Okay, so now I've got everything. Now I've got everything filled in. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue, close up the graph. You're going to continue graphing the remaining functions and answering these questions, filling in this organizational chart, answering the same questions from question 1 for each one of these functions. And then after you get this chart filled in, what you're going to do is you're going to make these connections. You want to connect, and I'll show you the bottom of the graph where you summarize this. You want to connect the degree with how many intercepts we have. Okay, so that's the first connection you make, and so you're gonna summarize your conclusion right here. So you're gonna say something like, you're gonna relate something to the degree and the number of x-intercepts, okay, right here. And then the other conclusion that I want you to draw is, and we could go back to the degree, but really we need to know if the degree is odd or even and what the ends are doing. So actually I might come back here and color code this green, because that, whoops, didn't mean to take the line. There we go. Color code that green, because those two are connected. Okay, and then you're gonna make a general conclusion there about what the ends are doing and whether or not the function's odd or even. You can put that right there. And then the last connection you're gonna make is looking at that leading coefficient and looking at whether it's positive or negative, and telling me what the right side does. Because if we know what the right side does, then we can work this way with this knowledge and know what the left side does without even filling in this column here. So, so that's kind of the key there, is to know what the right side does, and you're going to summarize that here. When it's positive, the right side does this. When it's negative, the right side does that. And then that way, if you know what the right side does, all you have to do is know whether it's odd or even, and you know what the left side does. So, so work your way through the remaining functions, and then you can check your work on the answer key in Blackboard for the notes. So question 2 is just filling out the chart. This is the chart. So you're just going to assemble all that information in the chart. And then you're going to look at the learning targets after that and see the learning targets and how they correlate back to that chart. And then you can go on and start working on the homework. And so the homework is being able to, really without graphing, but you can always check your work on the graph, is to look at the leading coefficient and the power, right? We're always looking for that highest power to make these conclusions. Number 5 is tricky because this is actually the term with the highest power because these terms cancel. So we're always looking at that term with the highest power. Sometimes it's written first, sometimes it's not, and looking at that leading coefficient and that power to draw those conclusions. And then we need to know this notation. This notation is the left side of the graph, and this notation, right, as x goes to negative infinity, that's the left side of the graph, and as x goes to positive infinity, this is the right side of the graph. And so this is going to be, these answers are going to be either up or down. Maybe they're the same, maybe they're different, depending upon the function. And then the bottom part of your homework is matching. So again, looking for that term that determines our degree of our function, and looks like those are all listed first. So the highest power, looking for that highest power, and then that coefficient in front of the highest power. These look like they're all written in general form from high power to low power. So, and then making the same conclusions, and then being able to pick the graph from one of the 9 above.